In the dim glow of a Beijing apartment, where the city's neon heartbeat pulsed through half-drawn curtains, Yu Menglong knelt on the worn hardwood floor, his fingers tracing the soft, floppy ears of Fully, his Welsh corgi. The little dog's stubby legs splayed out like a surrendered starfish, her tongue lolling in lazy bliss as Yu whispered secrets only they shared. Beside her, Huitue, the plump French bulldog with eyes like polished obsidian, nuzzled closer, her snores a rhythmic counterpoint to the distant hum of traffic below. It was June 2025, months before the shadows would swallow them all, and in that fleeting moment, Yu's world was whole. He was 37, a rising star in China's cutthroat entertainment industry, with 25 million Weibo followers hanging on his every scripted smile. But here, away from the cameras and the contracts, he was just a man and his dogs, Fully, the fierce protector who'd once growled at a paparazzo lurking too close, Huitue, the comic relief who'd photobombed countless selfies with her signature head tilt. They were his family, the only ones who never demanded a performance. Yu had adopted Fully 6 years earlier, during a grueling shoot in the rain-soaked hills of Sichuan. She'd been a scrawny pup, dumped by the roadside, her fur matted and eyes wide with the kind of terror that sticks to your soul. He'd cradled her against his chest, ignoring the director's shouts to get back on set, and from that day, she became his shadow, trotting alongside him to red carpets, curling up in his trailer during late-night reads. Huitue came later, a rescue from a Beijing shelter, her brachycephalic snorts echoing through his high-rise like laughter in an empty theater. Fans adored them. Weibo exploded with edits of Yu's family of 3, hashtags like #Yu and his pups trending for weeks. "They keep me grounded," he'd say in interviews, his voice softening in a way that made audiences lean closer. In this business, loyalty is rare. But these two? They'd fight dragons for me. Yet beneath the glossy feeds, cracks were forming. By early August 2025, eagle-eyed fans noticed the bruises blooming around Yu's eyes like storm clouds, dark purple smudges he tried to camouflage with concealer during a live stream from his apartment. His smile faltered mid-sentence, replaced by a haunted flicker as he rambled about an upcoming drama. "Save me," his lips mouthed silently to the camera, the words lost in a glitchy freeze frame. "Network issues," he joked afterward, but the chat erupted. "What's wrong, Menglong? You look scared." Days later, another stream, his hand twisting into a signal fans recognized from domestic abuse campaigns, fingers forming a trembling 540, a phonetic whisper for, "I'm dead" in Mandarin slang. He laughed it off, blaming fatigue, but uploaded a poem that night, its acrostic spelling out, "Today they want me to die." Comments poured in, a digital chorus of worry, but Yu deleted them one by one, his account a fortress under siege. Whispers in industry circles painted a darker picture. Yu had been dodging invitations to exclusive dinners, those veiled networking events where deals were sealed over Baijio and backroom promises. His manager, a slick operator named Li Wei, had been pushing harder, dangling roles in blockbuster wuxia epics. "It's just one night," Li had texted in late August, attaching an address in Chaoyang District, a nondescript high-rise owned by a shadowy consortium of investors. Yu hesitated, his thumb hovering over the reply button while Fully pawed at his knee, sensing the storm. He'd heard the stories, young actors vanishing from schedules after such nights, their careers derailed by creative differences. Rumors swirled of director Chong, a lecherous veteran known for cornering rising talents in green rooms, his propositions laced with threats of blacklisting. And then there was Ting Hyung, the billionaire widow whose fortune stemmed from tech empires and whispered political ties, a woman who bankrolled films but demanded personal investments in return. She and Chong were old allies, their parties legendary for the A-listers who attended and the unknowns who didn't leave the same. September 11th dawned muggy, the air thick with the promise of autumn rain. Yu spent the morning at the 798 Art District, Fully and Huitue in tow, their leashes a lifeline amid the throng of tourists. Photos surfaced later, him grinning beside a graffiti mural, Fully's tongue mid-lull, Huitue's ears perked at a street vendor's call. But those images vanished from his Weibo by evening, scrubbed clean as if they'd never existed. By dusk, Li Wei's car pulled up outside Yu's building. "It's casual," the manager insisted, sliding into the passenger's seat with a bottle of imported scotch. "Ting's hosting. Chong will be there. This could be your breakout." Yu glanced back at his apartment window, where the dogs pressed their noses to the glass, oblivious sentinels. He'd left them with extra kibble, a chew toy for distraction, but Fully's whine echoed in his mind as the door clicked shut. The venue was the penthouse of a glass tower overlooking the Forbidden City, its floors a labyrinth of marble and muted opulence. Chandeliers dripped like frozen rain, casting fractured light over a crowd of 24, producers in tailored suits, starlets nursing flutes of champagne, and the core group, 17 figures whose names would later ignite online infernos. Director Chong held court by the bar, his laugh a bark that cut through the jazz trio's murmur. Ting Hyung glided among them, her emerald necklace catching the light like a predator's eye, her arm linked with Shin Chi, a producer whose affections for male leads were industry folklore. Investors clustered in corners, their conversations laced with stock tips and veiled propositions. Yu arrived fashionably late, Li Wei at his elbow, the scotch already loosening tongues. The evening unraveled like a poorly directed thriller. Toasts flowed, to collaborations, to fortunes yet unmade, but Yu's unease coiled tighter with each glass. He deflected compliments with practiced charm, his eyes scanning for exits. Then came the shift. Ting Hyung pulled him aside in a velvet-draped alcove, her voice silk over steel. "You've got potential, Menglong. But potential needs nurturing. A private word upstairs?" Her hand lingered on his arm, nails like talons. He extricated himself politely, citing a headache, but Chong was waiting, blocking the hallway with a grin that didn't reach his eyes. "Refusal isn't wise, boy. We've sunk millions into you. A little gratitude goes far." The escalation was swift, a descent into the penthouse's lower levels, a sublevel warren of soundproofed rooms disguised as wine cellars. Yu's protests dissolved into shouts as hands gripped his arms, Li Wei's face a mask of apology in the shadows. "It's just business," the manager muttered, shoving him through a door that sealed like a tomb. The air turned fetid, laced with sweat and something metallic. 17 shadows encircled him, celebrities he'd admired from afar, now feral in the half-light. Shin Chi's breath was hot on his neck, whispers of favors twisting into demands. Refusal ignited fury, fists flew, bruises from August revisited in fresh crimson. They wanted submission, leverage, photos, videos to bind him to their whims, to cover embezzlements funneled through Ting's shell companies, to silence his quiet probes into industry graft. As the winter winds howled through Beijing's skeletal streets on December 11, 2025, a lone figure huddled in a dimly lit cybercafe in Haidian district, fingers flying across a VPN-secured keyboard. She was Mei Ling, a 24-year-old film student turned digital vigilante, her eyes bloodshot from endless nights scouring the deep web. The screen flickered with a grainy forum thread titled, "Yu's Last Stand," where anonymous posters traded fragments of forbidden footage, blurry clips of a man being hauled into a shadowed van, his cries muffled by gloved hands. Mei paused on one post. The corgi knew too much. USB in her collar. They had to silence the mutts first. Her breath caught. This was the thread that tied everything back to Fuli and Huitue, the innocent pawns in a game of power and perversion. Flash back to that fateful September night, deeper into the penthouse's abyss. Yu Menglong, bound to a cold metal chair in the sublevel's crimson glow, watched in horror as Director Chong circled Fully, like a shark scenting blood. The corgi's ears flattened, her growl a low rumble that vibrated through the concrete. "Cute trick," Chong sneered, flipping open a switchblade that caught the overhead bulb's harsh light. Earlier, in the chaos of arrival, Li Wei had rifled through Yu's apartment under orders, searching for that damned drive. He'd found it nestled in Fully's favorite chew toy, a stuffed dragon with a hidden compartment. Yu had stashed it there weeks ago, after a whistleblower PA slipped him recordings, Ting Hyung's voice detailing offshore accounts funneled through Phantom Productions, Chang's grunts in assault videos from years past, Shin Chi's ledgers of favors, owed by blackmailed stars. Fully, ever the guardian, had barked ferociously when Lee approached, buying you precious seconds in his mind, but not enough. Now, in the dungeon-like room, Hwitue whimpered from her carrier, her flat face pressed against the bars. The 17, now unmasked in online dossiers as a cabal of directors, producers, and tycoons, formed a semicircle, their faces twisted in a mix of glee and grim resolve. The dog hit it, Shin Chi hissed, holding up the USB like a trophy, its surface smeared with kibble crumbs. Your little detective here almost ruined us all. You strained against his bonds, veins bulging in his neck. Leave them alone. It's me you want. But Ting Hyun laughed, a sound like shattering glass, and nodded to an underling, a burly security goon named Du Chong, who yanked Fully by the scruff. The corgi snapped, drawing blood, but a boot to her side sent her skidding across the floor, yelping as ribs cracked. They targeted the pets not just for cruelty, but precision, to crush Yu's will, erase any loose ends. Fully wasn't random. She was the vault, her loyalty a threat they couldn't bribe or bully. Cut to November 2nd, in a misty Yunnan village where fog clung to terraced hills like secrets. Song Erin, the actress whose IP pinged local servers, paced a rented cottage, her phone buzzing with encrypted alerts. Chung Ching-song, her alleged accomplice in the ring, slumped on a wicker chair, nursing a Baijiu hangover. They know, she whispered, eyes darting to the window where shadows danced. Online, fans like May had pieced it together. Song and Chung fleeing Beijing post-September, dissolving shell companies that laundered Ting's funds. Du Chong, the muscle, had bolted to Taiwan, his flight logs leaked on Weibo mirrors. Why the exodus? The dog's plight had ignited a firestorm. #Justice for Fully Hwitue trending globally, petitions swelling to 500,000 signatures demanding exhumations and forensic paw prints. In hiding, Song replayed the night, Hwitue's plaintive howls as they smashed her against the wall, blood spattering like abstract art. It was to break him, Chung muttered. The USB was one thing, but those mutts? They were his heart. Rip it out, and he'd spill everything. Back in Beijing, December 4th, a clandestine meeting unfolded in a smoky tea house near the Summer Palace. Wang Yuchen, Yu's old screenwriter friend, met with an undercover journalist, her hands trembling around a porcelain cup. They put a tracker on his ankle, she confided, sliding over a photo from a leaked autopsy report, faint scars circling Yu's leg, and bedded with microchips for electric shocks. Remote control, like a dog collar. That's why they went after Fully and Hwitue, to test the waters, show him no one was safe. The journalist nodded, recording covertly. Rumors swirled of Yang Mi, Yu's co-star from past dramas, intervening thrice. Desperate calls to Ting, pleading for mercy. But the cabal saw the pets as leverage. Torture them live, stream it to the dark web for elite bidders, and force Yu's compliance. A YouTube expose claimed the feed went viral in hidden corners, bidders wagering on how long the dogs would last, Fully's defiant barks turning to gasps as blades nicked her flanks. Mei Ling, in her cybercafe vigil, unearthed more, a December 10th post on X, detailing videos of Yu's bullying at the meal, a euphemism for the penthouse ordeal. He's still resisting, a voiceover mocked, as shadows loomed over cowering forms. The dog's targeting? Multifaceted malice. Beyond the USB, they symbolized Yu's purity in a corrupt industry, adopted strays mirroring his own rise from obscurity. Crushing them crushed dissent, a message to other stars. Cross us, and we'll dismantle your world, piece by furry piece. By December 7th, protests simmered in Shanghai alleys, fans donning corgi ears and bulldog masks, chanting for Fully. For Hwitue. A viral petition on Avaz urged global scrutiny, flames fanned by citizen investigators dissecting geolocated leaks. In a haunting recreation, one activist staged a shadow play, silhouettes of dogs writhing under boots, Yu's form plummeting. Why the pets? To orchestrate terror, launder guilt through spectacle. As May refreshed her screen, a new thread popped. Dogs alive? Adopted secretly? But attached was audio, Yu's voice cracked. We can no longer be together. Echoing the original leak, it fueled doubt. Were Fully and Hortue euthanized post-torture, or spirited away as bait? In the end, the targeting unveiled the cabal's rot. Pets as proxies for control, their agony a currency in a market of misery. As snow blanketed Beijing, May's fingers hovered, post, expose, ignite. The dog's ghosts howled on, demanding the veil be torn.